Okay, we really need to talk about the state of the iPhone. Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you're new to this channel, I am an Apple fanboy. I have been for many years. However, this year I went from the iPhone to the S24 Ultra and then eventually the Z Fold 6. I did this whole kind of I'm switching thing, which annoys a lot of people, but I did it for real. And I did it for months and months and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I've come back to the iPhone and to the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And at the time of filming, which is the 1st of October 2024, Apple is getting a lot of stick for this launch. And not just the iPhone 16 Pro Max, the entire iPhone 16 lineup. It's fair to say it's gone down like a you-know-what in a crowded lift. Now, I've had this for roughly 2 weeks, and I've formed quite a rounded opinion on this phone, and I've come to the conclusion that I'm both delighted about some stuff and utterly dismayed about two things in particular. So, let's get into it after this week's sponsor. This is the Moft Creator Kit 2024, which includes some returning favourites and new accessories for iPhone enhancement. The Creator Kit includes a Snap Movas case, an invisible tripod stand, a Snap-on stand and wallet, a lanyard, and a Snap Flow note stand. Firstly, that Moft invisible tripod stand is superb. It's versatile. It's got 3 modes: floating, which is great for shooting video in portrait or landscape; standing, which is perfect for monitoring those vital creator stats while you're working; and vlogging, which, well, does exactly what it says on the tin. The best thing is that the invisible tripod stand is compact and slots perfectly into your pocket. You don't know it's there unless you're using it. Then we have the Moft Snap-on stand and wallet. I love this thing. I really missed this when I wasn't using the iPhone over the last few months. It doubles as an iPhone stand, but it also holds 2 to 3 cards. There's 3 viewing modes: portrait, landscape, and floating, and they're all incredibly handy if you're commuting or if you're just sitting at home or in your office watching stuff or just keeping an eye on something on your iPhone. You can do it without any hands whatsoever. It's just so useful. And the fact you can keep your credit cards, or in my case my gym card, hidden away safely inside is just another massive benefit. And again, it's made from eco-friendly Movas leather. All of these Moft accessories come in this lovely gift box, which you can keep for yourself and use as a daily organizer once you've unboxed all of those accessories, or if you're giving this to someone else, it's just a lovely gift. So if you're a creator who wants to make the most of their iPhone 16, or if you have a friend who's in the same position, this Moft gift set is an absolutely fantastic buy. To find out more, just click that link below. Let's start with the positive things about the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and most of these aren't related specifically to this, but it doesn't matter. Basically, the first thing is that I came back to the iPhone, and as mentioned, yes, I defected to the dark side, the other side, Android, for most of this year. Coming back to this reminded me of 2 things. The first thing is that the hardware for the iPhone is just a notch above the competition still. That notch, that gap, has got smaller and smaller thanks to Samsung and OnePlus and lots of other Android manufacturers really upping their game in terms of the design and build. And there are much more interestingly designed phones out there. But the iPhone, when it comes to the nuts and bolts of a very premium device, is still up there. It's still the king, but just by a little bit. The other thing is that as soon as I got my iCloud account on here and got it back into my world, so I got all my apps on there and got WhatsApp up and running on it, so it became my main phone, and connected it to the Mac and did all that stuff, it was just, I just realized that I'd missed this more than I thought I had. I knew I'd missed it, but not quite as much as I clearly did, because as soon as I started using this again, it felt like home. And yes, most of that is the ecosystem, so the ability to move things between this and my Mac without any hassle and faff is amazing. The ability to use this as a remote control for the Apple TV, again, brilliant. In terms of using this with the Apple Watch, I still think this is the best pairing out there, which is weird because the Apple Watch, this is the Series 10 by the way, I don't like that much actually. I've got a review which we'll link to above or somewhere. Again, this year I've been trying out different watches, different Android based watches, Garmin's and that sort of stuff, and I prefer them over the Apple Watch. But when you connect this to this, there's no other pairing like it. It works so well, which makes the deficiencies with the Apple Watch Series 10, namely the battery life, it kind of, you forget about them really, and that's why Apple is so clever. Basically, whenever I look at my watch, it's doing something predictable based on what I'm doing with this, which I don't think many other brands have matched. Then we have iPhone mirroring, which is, I think, the best thing Apple has launched this year, which says a lot. But if you weren't aware, providing you've got iOS 18 on your iPhone and you've got macOS Sequoia on your Mac, you can bring up your iPhone's display on your Mac and use your iPhone on your Mac without touching your iPhone. Now, this isn't unique. That other brands do this and they've been doing it for quite a while, but Apple, in typical Apple fashion, has come in very late with a very polished version of it. It's not perfect. There's a few things that need ironing out, but the number of times I use that feature throughout the day, the number of times I have to go into a WhatsApp message or do something on my iPhone, but it's being charged, or, I just don't want to pick it up. I can just do it on the Mac, and it's so useful. And again, there's no faff involved. You just open iPhone mirroring and there it is. Then we have a couple of the new features on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. One of them is audio mix, which is witchcraft. It's amazing. In fact, let me just demonstrate it now. Okay, so I'm now shooting on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. I'm using the front-facing camera, as you can see over there, and this is the mic that is built into the iPhone 16 Pro Max. No processing, straight out of the phone, and it is their new studio quality mic, which I tested during my unboxing of this phone, and the response was a bit tepid. It sounds okay, but it's a bit echoey, as you can hear. What I didn't do was do the post-processing thing. So this is where audio mix comes in. So once you've shot something on your iPhone, you can go into the video that you've shot, go into the editing section, and there's an audio mix feature. And this is just bonkers. Basically, Apple has used a bunch of machine learning and clever AI trickery to enable you to change the audio mix based on what you want. And the one that I'm going to show you is just the studio version. So if I turn that on now, you'll notice that the mic sounds significantly better. The room echo has pretty much gone and it sounds very professional. I think you'd be hard pressed, certainly on a YouTube video, to compare this and the mic that I've been talking into before this and think they sound that much different. This is very, very impressive. It's all down to the mic quality and the very clever processing, but this is a very useful feature, particularly if you're going to use this phone for content creation. The camera system is still fantastic. So we have the 5x optical zoom, which is still the most useful focal length for me for so many different scenarios. And the image quality is very good when you find the right photographic style. So for me, the photos this thing spits out by default are a little bit flat. They're not quite as vibrant and contrasty as I like. I love pixel photos, so that's my preferred style. So providing you kind of dial in the style that you want, I think you'll get everything you need out of the iPhone 16 Pro Max camera system. It also shoots the best video out there, and it has 120 frames per second 4K video now, if you want that sort of stuff. So that is that all the stuff that's good? Yeah, I think it is, which means I need to get onto the two problems with this phone. And I should put this lovely moffed case back on it because I don't want to damage it. Problem number one is the camera control, which is this button here. And it is a button. Basically, you put your finger on it and you press it and it clicks and it takes a photo. It also takes you into the camera app as well. It's quite handy for that. It's quite a nice shortcut to get into the camera system. The other thing that you can do with it, because it's touch sensitive, is you can rest your finger on it and move your finger left and right like that. And you can scroll through menus and change settings and that sort of stuff. You can also gently half press it and do other things. The two big things with the camera control, the first thing is that we don't need it. Most of us have spent 10 years at least getting used to doing this. Pressing a shutter button, a fake shutter button on the iPhone or any smartphone display. It's really, really intuitive. It comes as naturally as multi-touch and pinch to zoom and all that stuff. It's something that's been baked into our fibre. We just do that. As far as I'm aware, no one has been asking for a button. Some phones do it. We do have the Sony Xperia range and they do it properly. They have a button which works and it's useful for a very small section of the smartphone market. But for everyone else, including me, you just do that. And it's quicker to do that. It takes longer to put your finger on the camera control and find the right zoom range and press it, and no, that's the first problem. The second problem is even worse, I think, because they haven't even implemented it properly. So basically, if I want to take a photo like that, and let's say I just have to press a button rather than pressing the screen, my forefinger, goes there. It doesn't go there. And that may not look like much, but it's just that slight movement to the left, which means I have to move my hand, my right hand, like that, which then means I'm obscuring part of the frame. I can't see the entire photo I'm taking, which isn't a big deal, but it just feels unnatural. So you spend more time recalibrating your brain to get used to doing that. And the other problem, and it's probably a bigger issue, is the fact that because you're kind of holding it unnaturally, when you press it, you tend to give it a bit more oomph than you need to, which means you drop the phone slightly, which means you screw up the framing, or worse, you introduce camera shake, which means you don't get a sharp photo. And by that point anyway, you've lost the moment. The moment's gone because you spent all that time faffing about trying to work out how to use this when you could have just gone. The issue with the camera control is that it's trying to fix a problem that did not exist, and it's been poorly implemented, and that is not Apple. Apple never used to do this sort of thing. Problem number 2 is a thing called Apple Intelligence, which it does exist, that's unfair. It exists if you are on the beta version of iOS 18. So if you're on the public or the developer beta, you get access to a beta version, an early beta version of Apple Intelligence. Now this is a problem because if you go and buy an iPhone now, so if you go onto apple.com in I think most countries and you choose your iPhone, be it the iPhone 16 or the iPhone 16 Pro or Pro Max, when you get through the kind of, the checkout process, there's all these labels for Apple Intelligence. So when you're choosing your iPhone, I think at the top of it says Apple Intelligence. This thing is built for Apple Intelligence. Exciting, it's AI for all. AI for the rest of us. It's brilliant. In fact, a new version of Siri, finally. Then you get your iPhone 16, and again, at the time of filming, which is the 1st of October, Apple Intelligence isn't there. If you go into an Apple store, they've got that new Siri glow which goes around the outside of the phone on the display iPhones. But if you walk up to those iPhones and instigate Siri, the normal little Siri thing pops up. It's not even on those. It's just... Now, we get Apple Intelligence in the UK in December, but even then it's beta, and even then it's incomplete. We don't get certain features, so the Genmoji thing, which I don't care about, but more importantly, the new version of Siri, the proper new version of Siri that has the much better contextual awareness and all that sort of stuff. Apparently, I don't think Apple has confirmed this, but there's been rumours, and Mark Gurman, who's one of the main rumour guys out there, he's suggesting that we won't see that until March next year in iOS 18.4. And by March next year, you've owned your iPhone 16 for months, and you bought it on the promise of Apple Intelligence. Now, I'm a tech guy, I'm a nerd, I kind of understand it. Well, I don't understand this, but I'm in tune with what's going on with this. My mum isn't, my girlfriend isn't. This phone is going to my girlfriend. How do I explain to her that her new iPhone 16, the main feature that it's being sold on, isn't there? And then it will arrive in December, but it might be a bit buggy because it's not the real version, and then bits of it will be missing until March next year. How do you explain that to people who don't really care about tech, but who are spending an awful lot of money on these devices? I'm really annoyed about this. I think some people have brushed over it a little bit in their reviews, which is a shame because I can't see how you can have any other opinion on this apart from the fact that it's not on. It's not fair. Why are we getting these devices without this apparently game-changing thing called Apple Intelligence? What is going on? But the most irritating thing about this, from my perspective, is that I can't fully review this phone because it's incomplete. And I can't think of the last time that's happened with a product I've reviewed on this channel. For me, I'm genuinely happy I'm back in iPhone land. It feels like I've come home. I'm really pleased with that. It's just been tainted massively by the camera control, which I don't understand, and the Apple Intelligence situation, which I think is really bad. As always, I'd love to know what you think, so get involved in the comments, and if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and a subscribe if you haven't done already. And as mentioned earlier, I have done a comparison between the iPhone 16 Pro Max and the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. Keep watching for a link to that video.